Yes. Dervan Malcom. That's what it sounds like when I call you and I say Dervan Malcom. It's a powerful name, you know. It's like it's been in your psyche for a long time, and all of a sudden, when you say that name, it just blows up like that. Dervan Malcom. Good evening, Dervan. How are you?
Good evening, Leo Gilling. I'm fine, thanks. And how are your viewers all over the world? How's everybody? It's good to be on.
Yes. We're on 3 platforms. You know, Jamaicans.com is my number one. We're on YouTube. That's where we store. We have people watching on YouTube, and also on Mighty Enforcers, the platform that I play music on the weekend. All right, so 3 places tonight, but it's so good because a lot of persons, since we've started advertising Dervan Malcom, have called me and said, yes, I have to be here. I want to hear about Dervan Malcom. All we know is what we see on and hear him speak of, you know, in the daytime, but we want to know the background. We want to know the background. Are you ready?
Whenever you are ready, Mr. Gilling.
All right, everyone. Welcome, everybody. This is Leo Gilling on the one-on-one with Leo Gilling, and tonight's guest is Dervan Malcom, the great Dervan Malcom. The name is met this man probably 10 years ago, somewhere there, and he is a non-stop energy bunny type of a guy. So if you don't like energy, you know, this is not the place for you to be. Dervan Malcom, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, Leo Gilling. Always a pleasure to be in your company.
Yes, thank you. We kind of go into the depths of our guests, and so the first thing I want to ask you tonight, Dervan, is to tell us a little bit about mom and dad. Where did you grow up? Are you a country boy or a Kingston boy? You know, that kind of thing.
Well, it was a Wednesday afternoon, just after 3 o'clock, Wednesday, the 13th of October, 1975, at Victoria Jubilee Hospital in the heart of downtown Kingston, Jamaica. That's where it all began. According to my birth certificate, last time I looked at it, we were living in Rockfort. At least that was the address. That was on the birth certificate.
And where did you get your when you became aware of Dervan being a living soul, where were you?
Oh, I remember growing up in a few places. As I said, I was delivered by, or tended to, by Nurse A. Pinnock. Nurse A. Pinnock.
You have the document right there, Dervan?
Right. So we were actually living at 2E Windward Road. 2E Windward Road. And my mom was 22 years old at the time. And she's originally from Portland. And the birth certificate was certified by a G. Marshall for the Chief Resident Officer, Victoria Jubilee Lying In Hospital.
Lying in, what does that mean? Do you know what that means? Lying in?
Yes, because it's a euphemism for, as I understand it on the face of it, because one is with child, the woman is with child, so she has to lie in order to give birth.
Okay.
That's in a cursory, at a cursory glance. And I was actually registered on the 15th. The birth was registered on the 15th of October, but obviously born on the 13th.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
The
so
name is
yes, please.
Dervan Germain Malcom.
Oh,
Yes.
Jermaine. Yeah. So you have other brothers and sisters, Dervan?
Yes, I do actually. Well, it's two of us for well, hold on. Four of us for my late mother. So four on my mother's side. And I'm included in that four, obviously. Two boys, two girls. And on my father's side, let's see, two, four. Make sure I get the numbers right. So Gary, Gregory, O'Neill, Daniel, Orain, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I don't think so. I've seven. Oh, and obviously my parents shared a daughter. The only girl for my father is my big sister. She's 1 year older than I am.
Okay.
And right, so it's seven. Did I say seven before?
Yes, it's seven.
Or
Yeah,
eight?
you added
Seven boys and one girl on my father's side.
Oh.
And on my mother's side, it's four of us. Of course, they share a daughter, my big sister. So it's two boys and two girls.
Yeah. So you're the second for your mom?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned that mom passed. When was that?
That was 2013.
Okay.
2013.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so sorry to hear that.
Yes.
So did mom send you to the country at any time, Dervan? Did you go?
Oh, we went to the country all the time.
Which country
Holiday time.
Holiday.
Well, my mom had a best friend, and sadly she has left us as well. But they were like sisters, peas in a pod. And someone taught me the expression of having someone who can mirror your thinking.
Oh.
And my late mom and Auntie Pauline were such individuals. They mirrored each other's thinking. They could communicate with each other without saying even a word. Right? So for example, well, I don't know if this was one of the reasons why I love words, but they would try to say things above my head, literally and figuratively. So I'd be looking up and trying to read the lips, because they were spelling, whatever the decision was whether I'm going to be leaving now or whatever, just not wanting us to know as children. But me in particular, so I was there looking up and figuring out some of what they were saying, or enough to be able to know that what was going to happen or not happen. So yeah, they were like peas in a pod. So her Auntie Pauline, we called her Auntie Pauline, because my mother and she and my mother were like really, really very close. Mm-hmm. And so Auntie Pauline's mother, Miss Inez, and sorry, we have lost her as well, is from Guys Hill.
Oh, see,
Guys Hill,
country, okay.
in St. Catherine. And so we would go there. And then now my mother, as I said earlier on, is originally from Portland, more specifically Norwich in Portland. And so we would go to Portland as well during the holidays, whether summer or otherwise.
Right.
So we're very familiar with the country and catching janga.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. What was the fun moments that you had in the country?
Yeah, just catching janga and picking fruits from the trees and just running up and down, really, and fooling around with the animals, the livestock. So yeah, we were always at one point or another taken to the country in any given year.
So if it's not on the Pauline, then it's your grandma or right? Who's in Portland?
Well, auntie my mother is from Portland. She was born in Portland, but technically speaking, her family is from Wakefield, or I think they call it. Every now and then I mix up Wakesfield with Wakefield, but it's outside of Linstead in St. Catherine.
Okay.
Yeah. So
when I was asking you, when you went to Portland, who did you go to?
Oh, our grandfather.
Right. That's what I was asking. Yes.
Yes, my mother's father, and he was quite a gentleman and very well established. He was what you would call a headman on the massive, I call it a plantation, but it's now CASE, the College of Agriculture,
right.
Science and Education, Pasley Gardens.
Pasley Gardens, yes.
So he was one of, I think he told us that they used to refer to him as headman.
What does that mean? Do you know?
Meaning some kind of an overseer.
Oh, supervisor type.
Yes.
Plantation. Okay.
Yes. We also learned, and we learned this from our mom, that they actually tried to poison him. Yeah, they tried to poison him. And so our level of awareness was aroused pretty early when it came on to those things. You don't just eat from people just like that, and you want to be careful. If you're drinking something, careful that you don't just leave it exposed there and then come back to drink it, that kind of thing, because we were told about that attempted poisoning of our grandfather.
Okay.
So along the way, there were always these lessons that put you in a better position to handle whatever the world is likely to throw at you.
Good. And then what primary school did you go to?
Right. I started out at Jeb Memorial Infant School. That's where I started, Jeb Memorial Infant School. That is off Spanish Town Road in Southwest St. Andrew, across from, what used to be a bank. I think it's now a funeral home.
So that school is still there?
Oh, still very much there. Jeb Memorial Infant School. And wonderful memories there. A lot of gravel in the yard and wide spaces separated by the blackboards, and these benches which were connected to the desk. Yes. Brown benches. And I used to be early, actually, or ahead of time. My mom used to make sure I got to school ahead of time. So I'm actually a stickler for time, although every now and then I have to deal with Jamaica time, which is any time. Yes, so I think my love for school would have started at Jeb Memorial Infant School as well. I remember being in my khaki pants, my short pants. And as I said, my mom would make sure I got to school early. And so when I got there early, I would clean the chalkboard or blackboard with a duster, dust it out. I'd arrange the furniture as well to make sure the classroom was organized. And that attitude followed me to all the way to high school, and I dare say university. So much so that these days, when I pop in at my alma mater, Calabar, to spend time to be a part of the mentorship program, that's one of the first things. Because my thing that I always say to them is that we cannot learn in chaos. The only thing we can learn in chaos is more chaos, right? So that is not to say that there is not room for that creative side where you turn the classroom upside down, in a manner of speaking. But for starters, let's learn order before we teach disorder.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So from that standpoint,
you learn something from disorder also. That's what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that's essentially the point I'm making. So, if you have never learned order, then I don't know, you perhaps won't have an appreciation for certain things, aesthetics, etc.
Right. So this infant school,
yes,
was attached to a primary school.
No, Jeb Memorial, Jeb. As I said, it's a Spanish Town road. At that time I wasn't inquiring. I didn't inquire too much into like the name of the school and what was the significance of that, because this was basic school.
Right.
Basic school. And I remember getting food in these plates, these colorful plates.
Color?
So that was lunch.
Okay. Yeah,
the colorful plates. So chicken, stewed chicken, curry chicken, whatever, and pieces of food.
You were privileged. Because we would get fried dumpling made with baking soda. So they blow up like this. Yes. Okay. So and do you remember the name of your?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the name of your teacher or teachers in that school?
Oh, Miss Ranglin was the principal. Miss Ranglin. There's another teacher whose name escapes me now, but there was also there was a caretaker who lived on the school compound. She left us a few years ago. Geez, can I remember her name? But I've exchanged words with her daughters, who are pretty much big people, within the last, I would say, I don't know, 5-6 years. But time flies. But she was key to our development as well, because I remember I actually messed up myself at school, and she was the one who washed me off and put me in this brown and white pants, a cross between shorts and pants. Right, so she cleaned me up. Geez, I'll remember her name eventually. She cleaned me up and put me in that little. Yes, I remember
that. It stayed with you because you're still talking about it.
Yes. I've always been quite open. I mean, there's nothing to hide, really. I mean, just share. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. So.
All right, and so you left that basic school or infant school.
Basic school, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and went to where? And went where?
So from Jeb Memorial Infant School on Spanish Town Road to Coburn Gardens All Age School in 3 miles. So it's not too far away from there. So Jeb Memorial Infant School is close to 3 miles. And so too is Coburn Gardens All Age School. Okay. So it's like the natural trajectory going up. So moving from Spanish Town Road at Jeb Memorial Infant School to Coburn Gardens All Age School on Hagley Park Road. And then, so at Coburn Gardens, I remember Miss Clark, Miss V. Clark. I remember Mrs. Fagan, Miss Drake. Miss Drake's husband used to kiss her every morning as she exited the eco. I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that distinctly, and I don't know what I was thinking at the time, as in I want to grow up to be able to do that as well. I don't know, but I remember Miss Drake. I think she was grade 2. Yeah, I skipped grade 5. I jumped from grade 4 to grade 6.
Yes, yes.
I guess because of my performance.
Yeah, when you perform very well in grade 4, they move you right into exam class. I'm curious though.
Yes.
That means you didn't live very far away from there. Did mom walk you to school, take a bus? What was it?
I don't even remember bus. It was more like walking, because here's the thing, and this is the thing. A lot of the places where I grew up were not too far from each other, except maybe Wynwood Road as the address on my birth certificate when I was born in 1975. But I remember as well that we lived in we lived at one point, we were living in, and perhaps I'm not giving you in chronological order, but to the best of my recollection, we lived in Waterford. And I remembered when it rained, you had to put the bed on blocks, like building blocks above. Yeah, because the place would be flooded.
Oh God.
Right. So that much I remember from Waterford. We also lived on Delacree Lane, which is off Hagley Park. Sorry, not Hagley Park, off Spanish Town Road. Delacree Lane. We lived up that lane. The lane is still very much there. Delacree Lane. We lived on Oakland Road, and these are all within touching distance of each other, communities in that area. Oakland Road. We lived on, because Oakland Road was a what you call it, a tenement yard, because you had a big house at the front. And so I remember a couple of, there was Mr.
You're being very modest, because I know these communities that you live in. They're not so nice communities.
I wouldn't say that, actually. No, I mean, we were living quite comfortably.
Oh.
Yes. Because as I said, there's this big house. So you have who rents this room, or my mother rented the one that was just in the passage on the left. At the front, I guess that's the biggest space for Miss, what's her name now, and her family, her daughters. And then there was a gentleman, a senior citizen, around the other side. And then there was Scrooge and Toonie. Those were their names. A couple. They lived towards the back of the house, and everybody used the same bathroom, a communal bathroom.
Okay, it's good.
Yes, and the spirit in the yard, the energy was quite positive. There was, yeah, it was like family. And indeed, I love to drive down Oakland Road. I mean, I've done it. I do it as often as I can, just to point out. Yeah, this is the house. And my sister used to fall asleep. The sister was a year older than I am. She used to fall asleep on the column of the veranda. And it was just so, everyone marveled that she never rolled to the left or the right. So my mother used to say she had dropsy.
Why do you think that mom moved so often? Because you were living at various places.
That's a good question. That's a good question. My mother had this attitude of always looking for better. Always looking for better. Always trying to achieve more, something else. Pretty much, I think that's what it boiled down to. But as the community was fine. I mean, there's this gentleman, a mechanic, who used to Frankie, and so I picked up a level of fascination with cars as I watched Frankie working on these cars in the yard, because I love things technical. I mean, my father is an engineer in more ways than one, right? Worked with telephone company. Oh, I don't think we're there yet. But just to go back to the community. So the moving around, as I said, was just my mother just always looking for better. Yes. And while we were at Oakland Road, Miss Pauline, who used to live in that same yard, she was at the front, actually. Yes, she was at the front as well, like Miss, gosh, what's her name again? Can't remember her name now. And her brother came up from the country, from Portland, to visit, and he took a liking to my mom, and so they got together, and then now, because I'm not sure at what point my parents split, but they were, I mean, my father was always around, but our mother was a fixture.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So every now and then we would see him.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So she embarked upon a relationship, yeah. And subsequent to that, now the next move was from Oakland Road to Delacree Park housing scheme.
Oh, no, where's that? Where exactly?
That's on Spanish Town Road. So this is what I keep saying. All of these communities are connected. I'm familiar with all of those communities. So this was a new housing development, Delacree Park housing scheme.
Okay.
And so our mother briefed us, and she said, look, you're going into a different place now. And you're going to, because I think we used to call her mama. She said, no, it's, mommy. You have to go, mommy, right? And you have to,
you couldn't call her mama no more. That's what mommy.
No, mommy. So we shifted from, we were great at keeping secrets. Our mother taught us about confidentiality. So when she told us something, because she had this thing about not talking about anything before it actually materializes. So you don't want to jinx it or whatever it is. Right? And so she would tell us things, and we wouldn't share the information with anybody at all. And to this day, I get told a lot. People share with me a lot, and I take confidentiality very seriously.
Right.
So I remember being in Martinique, sitting in the park in Martinique when I was on a cultural exchange program because I was doing French at school. So that was part of the immersion. And this French man just came and sat right beside me on the bench and started talking about how the park used to be much more verdant than it was. And, with all the traffic in the town, and things are not what they used to be, and so on. So I love to listen, actually. Yes. I love to listen. I'm not much of a talker, and people don't believe that. But, yeah, so there is that. So my mother said, yes, we have to call her mommy now, and we have to put our words together, and make sure we essentially, that we spoke.
You're moving up. We're moving on up.
That's the idea. So that's what I'm talking. That's the idea. And moved to this lovely house in Delacree Park housing scheme. They had a rolling bedroom, but the general practice was to use plyboards to break it into two. So you got two rooms out of one. So essentially 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, a living / dining room, and nice garden area around the house. Nice garden area in the square. So you have two houses facing each other here, and another two there, and there's I guess you could call it a quadrangle in the middle there, and it was nice and green, and we loved it. And we kept it clean. That was something in our house. You keep the place clean, and we were always shifting around furniture. In fact, when we lived on Oakland Crescent, in shifting around the furniture, the one of the legs of the dresser gave way, and we had to try desperately not to cause everything to just break up and that kind of thing. And so right, so Delacree Park was pretty much where we went after that. And then my mother and her
New
her
boyfriend.
spouse, yes, then produced two more children.
Ah.
Yeah,
You speak
because
so.
he had one child already, a girl, a daughter.
And this is Auntie Pauline's. This is Auntie Pauline's brother, right?
No, it's a different Pauline now. Different Pauline.
Oh!
There's Auntie Pauline, my mother's best friend.
Okay.
And there's Pauline,
Okay.
my siblings' father's, well, my siblings' aunt,
Yes.
essentially.
Okay, got you.
Right.
All right. So you speak so highly about mommy, right? Because you obviously spend a lot of time with mommy. I want you to spend some time on daddy now. What did you call him first? Did you have to change that?
No changes there. Just daddy.
Tell me about daddy.
And I used to remember before the days of scandal bags.
Yes.
My mom, Friday was the best day.
Yes.
Because on Friday, my mother used to say lighters in terms of food. Lighters. Meaning like
bread and crackers.
And sometimes she'd bring home KFC as well. So I remember seeing her coming from work, because she worked in Bell Road Industrial Estate. I think at one stage she worked at the glass factory. There was another factory there, and ultimately she spent most of her years at Dervan Corporation. They used to make the khaki uniforms.
Khaki uniforms, yes, clothing.
Right, and so she, in fact, there's a picture of us in the yard at Dervan. So, so we had there. So he was still daddy, as I said. Pick up at the story. Yes, from there, and he would drop by, and he would pick us up, took us with his other children, and took us to Coconut Park, otherwise or known as Hope Gardens. And in fact, there's a picture of me, as you saw. I was on that airplane, that the thing with aeroplanes. It's like a merry-go-round with aeroplanes.
Yes.
Sort of a thing. And you saw the glee on my face if you saw that baby picture. And my parents, there was no animosity at all between them. I never once detected no cussing, no. Maybe I wasn't around both of them. It's both of them in one space for too long, but I never, ever. They're happy people. My mother is always laughing. My father is always laughing and telling jokes. And my mother was always impersonating people. So she's talking like other people. And she was telling us stories or telling us certain things. So I knew nothing else but happiness, quite frankly. All the places we lived, the happiness continued until the day my mother died. The happiness continued. And even now with my father, who's still very much alive, the happiness continues.
I'm interested to find out, because you obviously spent some time with a stepfather.
Yes.
How did that relationship go? How did you see it? How did you feel it? How did that go?
No issues there. No issues. Stepfather would play a lot of gospel music on a Sunday morning. He bought a a stereo system.
Component set.
Component set. There you go. A brown one with the thing.
Yes.
And yeah, component set. And that was his pride and joy, right? And anybody who came to the house, that's the first place he would take them, to the component set. And he put on his Jim Reeves music.
And Skeeter Davis.
No tea. And Skeeter Davis. And what's the other one? Precious memory.
Pat Boone.
Yes, and so on. So classic. So he loved music. He loved music. So I would be hearing all these a lot of vintage music, gospel music. What he called, or he referred to his gospel recordings as secret record. That was a term. Secret record. Yeah. It was fun. It was really fun. Growing up.
That's good to hear, Dervan, about you and your stepfather, because it's generally when you hear about stepfather, you hear a lot of horror stories and stuff. So I'm so nice to hear that.
Oh no horror stories. No horror stories to tell. Okay. And and this is the thing with my family. This is what I'm saying. My father himself, he's not, you can't find a bad bone in his body. I guarantee you that. There is no, he's just a good man, a very good man. And as I said, jovial as ever, and we joke about a lot of things. So he was always laughing. My mother was always laughing. Stepfather, not too far from that either. And my sister, she's a giggler. So and in any conversation we're having as a family, somebody starts to take us back down memory lane. You remember when mommy, you remember when so and so, I will just be laughing and having a grand time. So that's why when you see me online and pictures posted, that's me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not into screw face. Quite
all right, well, tell me, Dervan, when you got the worst beating of your life?
No, never. Never. My mother didn't raise a finger.
Wow.
Never. And I can only speak for myself.
Oh, okay. So you have you witnessed it somewhere else with your brothers?
Well, more so the younger ones.
Okay.
The siblings.
Okay.
The younger ones. Maybe one or two. But with me, they were different, so that all I had to do was to look at them and they got the message. As young as I was, and as young as they were, they got the message.
That's good.
Right? Because that was another thing on the part of my mom, just a look and you would get it.
Yes.
So I carried that on. And even now with my niece, I mean, her mom would say to her, look, I'm going to call uncle and tell him that you're not eating up or something like that. And she would almost be so, no, because because again, my thing always, I'll play and have fun and thing, but then there comes a time now when we say, no, baby, that's not it. All right, this is the way we do it. All right, and that kind of thing. So there's that as well. Sorry, I hope I'm answering your question.
No, you're doing great. Question: the day when you pass your common entrance, was there a surprise? Tell me about mommy.
Yeah, a letter came, because I still have the letter. I'll have to go and pull it somewhere. Yeah, I still have the letter, and I have my report cards from primary school or all-age school, and all the report cards in high school. I still have all of those, and I still have that letter. So I remember running up to the gate. There's a big gate, which it is pretty much permanently closed. So you walk through the side gate, right up there. And my mom was coming, and I rushed up to her with the letter. And I didn't open it because I couldn't open it. I mean,
so what?
She
When
had
you
to
ran
open
with it, you didn't know what was in it?
No, I just knew that it had something to do with common entrance. I don't remember if Ministry of Education was written on it or whatever was on it. I'd have to look back at the envelope because I still have it.
Okay.
And then found out that I passed for Calabar, and that was a big deal.
You wanted that? You wanted Calabar?
Yes, that was a big deal. That was really major, really major. But something happened before that. So there would normally be a summer. Let me see if I can remember this. A summer break before the common entrance exam results were published.
Right.
You go on summer break.
I think it came coming in July.
Or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
So school was going to, it was soon time for the summer break. And so Miss V. Clark, had told us that you're going to need a recommendation from the school to go to your new school. So I went for a recommendation, and Miss V. Clark said, "Me no know where some of are going. I will not even come a extra class, or not come a extra lesson."
Oh God!
So my parents couldn't afford extra lessons, so I didn't do extra lessons.
Oh my!
So there were all her students who did extra lessons with her, coming around, swarming around, converging on her desk at her table for their recommendations. And by the way, she wrote one for me. She wrote a recommendation, which I still have to this day, and I didn't need it. I didn't need to take it into Calabar. I still have it. Still have the recommendation.
Did you like it? Did you like the recommendation?
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it. Oh, but I remember distinctly when I approached her for the recommendation, her comment was, "Well, I don't even know it. Someone coming about recommendation, I don't know, even attend extra lesson, that kind of a thing." But that didn't mean, I mean, I'm just recounting as it.
Yeah, man. Yes, understood.
Yes. So I went and did my medical to get into Calabar. You had to do a medical, which is where Lasco is now on Red Hills Road. Where Lasco is, that used to be a doctor's office, I remember. NCB in Halfway Tree was still under construction, because I remember I was looking around the environment as my mom was taking me on the bus to go up to Calabar. And, I used to be involved in, well, at Coburn Gardens All-Age School, I was usually asked to do presentations. So like, for example, I would read Heritage Week. You would celebrate the heroes. So I remember the one that I got to read that said, poverty. I remember part of Paul Bogle's thing that I had to read. Poverty and injustice in the society urged Bogle to lead a protest march to the Morant Bay Courthouse on October 11, 1865, in a violent confrontation that led to
Yes, I remember that.
And then at Christmas time now, I was part of another, what do you call it, Christmas pageant of sorts.
Cantata.
Pageant. Yes. And so we had the letters CHRISTMAS, and my letter was T. So I held it up and I said, "T is for treasures, gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh," which is what the wise men brought.
Yes.
Right. And so on. So I remember that. And another thing I remember at Coburn Gardens, the policeman came to the school to show us, we call it flim show. Right? To show us how to cross the road. So it's a road safety video. That was shown. And I remember the policeman asking, "Who can tell me what is written on the warden's sign, which is held up to stop traffic? The wardens at the gates, the pedestrian to help the children across. So you hold up the sign." So I knew it. I mean, it's stop children crossing.
Yes.
So I put up my hand, and then the policeman said, "Yes, young man, go ahead." And I said, "Stop, stop." And I stopped at stop, stop. I couldn't remember the rest of it. But I remembered it before.
Well, but you
before
just
he
at that
directed
point you froze.
Yes, because now all eyes were on me. Yeah, you know. But Calabar was fun. Calabar, from first
Before you
off.
get into Calabar, I want to. What was Christmas Day like for you?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Christmas was the biggest thing in our household. Biggest thing.
All right, all right.
You had to take down the curtains. You must change the curtains. New
Okay.
curtains. You have to put on a new bedspread. A new set.
Yes.
New sheet set. You take out the crockery out of the break front.
The
Take out the
cabinet.
crockery. Yeah, the break front.
What's a
You know
break
the
front?
front? Yeah, it's
A cabinet.
it's a piece of furniture. Yeah, cabinet. Yeah, yeah, cabinet.
Break
Yes.
front.
Yeah,
I never
break
heard
front.
that one. I never heard that break front before.
But you know about what not? You know
Yes,
about
I
the
know
what not.
about what not now no glass, right? So
Right. So the break front for us.
okay.
That's what. But at first it was the flat one. So it's a flat one, and you have sliding glasses.
Yes, I
Sliding.
know that one. I know that one. Yes, yes, I know that one. Okay, all right.
Right. So it was that, and then what my mother did was to get a cabinet maker to put on the top,
The top
put a
of it.
top
Okay.
onto it,
All right.
because she was having more crockery, so she had to expand. Right. So we take out those and we wash them, and of course the mixing up of the mixing of the cake, the batter, you know, for the cake. And you don't sleep, you don't sleep the what's this now? The night before Christmas,
yes.
like Christmas Eve, through the night, you're fix up and clean up and just making sure everything's spick and span. And of course, change up the furniture. I used to do that a lot to my mother's house. Just shift up the furniture, move this from here, put it over there, move this from there, put it over here, and you give the place a fresh look. Right, a sense of renewal. So Christmas was huge, and you put up the pepper lights and the Christmas songs. You had to have those playing in the house while you are preparing the cake and baking
and your favorite toy.
Favorite toy.
Have you got?
Well, let me see now. My mom got me one of the first gifts I got, and again, this was a reminder to me of how important time is. I got a watch, but not a regular watch. At the time, it was a calculator watch. That was
yes, I remember that.
A watch with a calculator on it. So that was a gift I remember. And then I had gifts of I got a gift of a fish tank, obviously. With fish and decorative things, I had to feed them. But the thing is now, whenever I was trying to clean the tank, and that I cracked the tank.
Oh,
and
you
so
did?
So the next prize was the next gift was another fish tank.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. So I was accustomed. In fact, up to when I became an adult and started living on my own, I had a fish tank. Sadly, got home one day and stepped in water, and I was wondering what was happening, and I realized, I don't know, it was the heat of the place being locked up or whatever it was, and there was a crack, and all the water ran out. So by the time I got home, you could, there were maybe one or two fish on the ground just still moving, and I haven't been able to. And it has stayed with me. And I need to fix that. I haven't been able to set up another tank. I just haven't been able to find the time to organize that, but I love to sit and watch the fish move.
Okay.
It was so therapeutic.
Okay.
So there is that.
So I know that Calabar is the main thrust of your I could say existence these days, because you spend a lot of time there. Yes.
Yeah, but that's not something for everybody to know, Mr. Gilling. my mother would never have you keep a secret. Eh? She would never try to get you.
Tell us about the first time you walk onto that campus and what was the experience? What?
Oh, it was grand. There was this aura of being on this massive campus, because this would have been the biggest campus. I mean, basic school was basic. All age school was average in terms of size. High school, Calabar High School, massive property. So it took us a while as new students to walk around, and we were, went through orientation, and my mother made sure I had everything, book, bag, and of course my father knew that I had passed as well, so he got into action as well. And he used to work at telephone company as well, Jamaica Telephone Company, and used to work with Public Works Department, and so many other technical things. That's why I'm generally technical minded, or technically minded. In fact, I'm going to come back to Calabar for a moment, as I mentioned that, because I also did an experiment that I didn't tell you about. You remember the days of the satellite dishes, the huge dishes.
Big ones. Yes.
Right. So I used to see that, and I learned that was how people watch foreign show and that kind of thing. So we had a black and white TV with just JBC, right? And I was thinking, I could create a satellite, like the big satellite dish. Well, maybe not that size. So I got the back of a fan, an old fan in the yard. The back of the fan. I connected a cable to it, bit of wire, connected that to the TV, and I turned off the breaker, because our mom took those little things she would tell us. This is the breaker, and you switch it off, so that you don't get electrocuted or anything like that. So those kind of things. So I switched off the breaker and I connected my cables, and I turned on and there was this sound. Yes. As they say in Jamaica, everything trip out.
Everything crashed.
Yes. So I damaged my mother's TV. And again, you ask about beating, she never raised a finger, because she recognized, she knew who my father was, a technical man, and telephone company, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, whatever. And to this day, if you go to the house, what I did, because I like to move around the furniture, I needed to get the TV into that particular point, but there was no plug there. But there was a switch, a light switch. So I worked out a way now so I got a plug, a socket, and I connected a cable to it, and to the light switch, from the light switch to the plug, to the socket. And to this day, if you go down to the house, it's still there. It is still there, and it's still being used. And I did that with no training, no experience. I guess you could say I got that from my father. I just figured it out.
Oh my, that's good.
But anyway, I digress. So let's go back. So yeah, it was fun. First form, fun, wonderful teachers.
Who was your principal? Who was your principal at that?
Principal at the time was Joseph Earl.
Okay.
His son is a well-known attorney and talk show host in Jamaica now, Andre Earl. He hosts a program on RJR 94 FM called Balancing Justice. So he used to practice on us, because he used to teach us mathematics. He used to teach us mathematics. It must have been filling in for another teacher or something, but he would teach us, and he would start by saying, "Gentlemen of the jury." He was practicing on us, "Gentlemen of the jury," and this and that and whatever. So yeah, so that was our principal was Joseph Earl, and vice principals Mrs. Tollereed. Now, Mrs. Tollereed's sons are these famous doctors, Most of her children are doctors. One girl and is it three boys? She was vice principal. She's still very much with us, and one of the regular listeners. She tells me one of our regular listeners.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So how did you get into media? How did you get into radio?
Yeah. Well, at Calabar, I took a liking to drama because it's just the energy. Yes. So I would be asked to our drama teacher, Mrs. Pauline Lawrence Matthew. She now lives in Florida. Some time ago, I went to visit her in Florida. Maybe you know her as well. Pauline Matthew. Pauline Matthew. Yeah. And because she performed at one of the Jerk festivals as well, sometime a few years ago as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was drama. So once she recognized the talent in me, she had me reciting Marcus Garvey's speeches, what's his name? Martin Luther King Jr. Well, I didn't actually do that one at festival, but I had this knack. If I'm in rehearsal and other people are doing their part, it somehow gets into my head. And I remember the lines. So I was good for remembering people's lines. I remember Charles Hyatt and I were on stage at the Ward Theatre doing Hamlet. And he got to a point where he couldn't remember his lines. And his way to ask for my help was to hit me in the back. And then under my breath, I'm giving him the lines. Yeah. Yes, I was always good with lines. So
well, I know you do a good job of our impersonating or yes,
yes.
He does.
Yeah. So drama was it. So I did speech, drama, dance, music, public speaking, debating, the whole works. The whole works. I entered the Optimist Oratorical Contest. I got a bronze medal at the time. And as far as JCDC Festival of the Performing Arts is concerned, I got tons of certificates, medals, trophies. Still have a few of the trophies here. And another one here.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that about you. You're teaching me now.
Yeah, so this is JCDC Most Outstanding Performer Class 5, 1993, sponsored by IBM. And this one again, IBM Class 5, this is 1992, and so on and so forth. All right, wow. So that was it really. So the involvement in the arts, I was at the Ward Theatre in downtown Kingston, representing Calabar in the JCDC Speech Festival. And Tony Leng, who worked with the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission at the time, saw me, heard me, asked if I would voice a commercial for a company in the Cayman Islands. And that commercial would be recorded at this brand new radio station, Power 106 FM, because Tony Leng and Newton James were very good friends. Newton James was in charge of Power 106. So I voiced the very first commercial ever to be recorded in the studios of Power 106 FM. Tony Leng then arranged for me to do an audition as a news presenter. And I did. And one morning, Sunday morning, I got a call. Well, I had to do a 3-week or 2-week training session with Charles Lewin, who used to read news on TV back in the day, JBC TV, with that rumbling voice. So I did that training session. That was the extent of my training. And I got a call one Sunday morning to say, you should have read the news at 8. Somebody got the message and forgot to tell me. And I also had to miss a couple of my literature classes at Calabar to go to Power 106 for training. My literature teacher was not amused. Miss Sangster, she was there, known as then. She's now known as Mrs. Milne. Now, she made an impression on me, I can say, because then I discovered how a lady was supposed to comport herself. She was just always like stateswoman-like, you know, how she walked, her gait, G-A-I-T, and so on. And she taught us literature. We did Shakespeare, Chaucer, etc. So she was not too happy that I was missing her literature classes, but I still passed literature. And so essentially that's really how I got started.
What year was it that you first went into do that commercial for?
This would have been, well, I can't tie the commercial, but what I can tell you is that Power 106 started on the 1st of December 1992, went on air 1st of December.
And that was that's the time that you went there too.
Yeah. So it would have been a festival, which means it would have been in the new year following that year. Yeah, 1993. Because I read my first newscast. So the business, somebody got the message and didn't tell me. I didn't get the message that I should have read the 8 o'clock. So I got ready as fast as I could and called a taxi and went to Power 106 to make sure I caught the 9 o'clock. The 9 o'clock, the 9 o'clock news. So who was with me? Heather Cummings, who's an excellent singer in her own right and a backup singer. She was in the newsroom and she sat beside me as I read and so on. And that was my first newscast, 9 o'clock, Sunday, the 24th of October, 1993.
And you never left Power 106 since then?
No, I've done stints in elsewhere in media, but none that competed with Power 106.
Wow. That makes it 28 years. 28 years.
Yes, in a few days.
2 days.
In 4 days' time. Yeah, Sunday will make 28 years. Yes.
Oh my gosh. What have you learned being in that sphere? What have you learned about life being at Power 106? What is it that you've learned?
Yeah, well, I've always recognized I don't have a problem with people. I love people, even those who may be a little different. And when I say different, I mean in terms of their mannerisms, and maybe they don't talk, just some little nuances. And so I learned from very early that the best way to deal with people is to identify where they are and deal with them accordingly and act likewise, just like that. It's the easiest way to deal with people and you have no issues. I don't have any issues along. So that's one of the things, because I would have been in a space where I've been a work space with people and people coming and going, media people, etc. And that's the one thing. My thing has always been, and respect to everybody, unless you're my contemporary, everybody else is Mr. So-and-so and Miss So-and-so.
I noticed that Mr. Gilling for you.
Yes, because it's all about respect. It's all about respect.
Yes. All right, and so in I met you in 2012, and you had an idea about Diaspora.
Yes, because how that came about was that I was interviewing the president of the American Foundation, no, American Friends of Jamaica, AFJ.
Okay, Chung.
Yes.
Karen.
No, it wasn't Karen. She was it was, because remember, it's made up of former ambassadors, former US ambassadors to Jamaica.
Yes.
And I interviewed, not Bridgewater. What was the lady before Ambassador Bridgewater? Oh gosh, Brenda LaGrange Johnson. Brenda LaGrange Johnson. And I was interviewing her. She was talking about a donation that they'd made, that the AFJ had made to the Cornwall Regional Hospital. And I was so impressed. And I said, but how do you find where do you get the funds from in order to get the resources to be able to make this kind of contribution? And she said, well, we have a couple of fundraisers, one in Florida and another in New York. In fact, our New York fundraiser is coming up, and I'd like to invite you to join us. at our fundraiser. I was like, whoa, Ambassador, I don't know what to say. You know? And so I got excited there. And so I had the idea. So I was talking to Newton James, I'm trying to remember if he was general manager still or managing director, because he switched from general manager to, well, maybe general manager then. I don't remember exactly. But he thought it was a great idea. So I said, we could do broadcast from New York, right? Because the ticket is taken care of, and I believe the accommodation would have been taken care of as well, etc. I got excited about that. So he got a couple of his top sales representatives to start what do they call it? Prospecting, to get sponsors, and they got sponsors, and so we put the promo together, and we started running the promo to say we were going to be in New York, blah 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 blah. This was 2012, yes. And then Hurricane Sandy,
yes,
impacted Jamaica. And so we had to put that, in fact, it just pretty much killed our trip to New York for the event, for the American Friends of Jamaica event. Because by the time Sandy was finished with us, that date had passed. And we didn't get to travel because, you know, situation with the airport and this and that. So what we did, Alty Hilton, love to work with Alty Hilton. He's retired now. We drove from the corporate area, from Power 106, all the way to Portland, broadcasting, telling people the damage that we saw, you know, what we were seeing as we were going along the road, the impact of Sandy, etc. And so we allowed for some time, for some healing and some recovery and so on. But we still had this pool of funds, sponsorship money, to broadcast from New York. But we had to be just quite conscientious, mindful of what people were going through at that time. You know, rather than just running off and having fun, kind of a thing. But so that was the thinking. So let's just deal with Jamaica right now, because Sandy impacted Jamaica. And soon, so a little time passed, and then we got into discussion and said, okay, so here's the thing now. With Sandy out of the way, let's get our plans for New York back on track. And so we started planning again. And guess what? Hurricane Sandy hit New York. So here we go again. Here we go again. Oh dear, what do we do now? What do we do now? And we said, but we have to allow again for a little time to pass. So, you know, we said, look, we were going to New York before Sandy, and, you know, to enjoy. Think of it. Wouldn't people need us now more than ever? In fact, in their time of troubles with the water damage and all the other issues, displacement of the. So you know what? So I said, you know what? At the time there was this song by an artist who shall remain nameless. The Storm Is Over.
Okay.
And that became the theme song for that promo. The storm is over. Da, da, da. And so because it was in solidarity with the Jamaican diaspora and the friends of Jamaica and Americans in general, that kind of a thing. So that's how we went in. That's how we went into New York on it, and we saw the damage that Sandy did in New York, and we reported on it, and so on. And sometime after that, I got a call from one of our listeners in California, Dwayne.
Yeah, Dwayne. I remember him. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, he's going to have my neck. His surname
He's listening.
But Dwayne, we haven't spoken in a while. I think he's training now. Well, I don't know if he wants me to tell everybody that, but yeah. But anyway,
Roxborough.
Dwayne Roxborough.
Yeah.
Roxborough. And he said, tell me something. I heard you in New York and all that. What do we have to do to get you to come to California? I remember taking that call at Knutsford Court Hotel. I was doing a broadcast there. This was before the broadcast started, outside broadcast at Knutsford Court Hotel. I remember distinctly taking that call. And he said, I said, well, do you have an association there in California? See if you can touch base with the president and let's see what's possible. And I said, well, you obviously recognize that airfare, accommodation, and that. I said, no problem, man, we'll work on it. And that's when he started touching base. And obviously you were a member of the Jamaica Awareness Association of California, and you were assigned to me.
I got a call that there's just a man from Jamaica with from a radio station, and they need my assistance.
Yes.
I said, okay, all right. That's how we met.
Yes, and I remember, was it not BMW, a Mercedes? Or was it BMW? Mercedes.
Mercedes, yes.
Yes, man. One of those really
flashy ones,
nice,
right?
flashy Mercedes. And there I was in the passenger seat, and Leo Gilling there operating his vehicle, and where they're talking. So that's the point where you're getting to know where we're discussing. And I said, we need to do more of this, because you took me all over LA, every single business place, and
yes, I did.
and meeting all these people, right? And we're talking. I was talking about covering events, and you said, something? There's an event coming up, Jerk Festival. Let me call Eddie. Eddie, and you went on the phone and you called Eddie Edwards, and that established the Grace Jamaican Jerk Festival link, established that link with us. And it was just more from there, because then subsequent trips to California, and you did pull some strings in the background there. I mean, I was staying in a mansion next door to Beverly Hills Hotel. I mean, come on.
All by yourself.
All by myself in this mansion, right? And then, of course, now, and at the time, that was Tessa and Chin we were covering now, because I think I had a couple more trips to California before that, because then the education part kicked in.
Yes.
The Diaspora education movement that you started. And then, of course, Tessa and Chin was after that. So
that was a big one.
Oh, that was something. That was something. And then, of course, you were my technician, my
I'm still seeing the pictures flashing across Facebook. The pictures of Tessa and Chin in her red dress. You remember the red dress that you wore?
Yes. Because nobody else had that picture. So Gleaner, because we're part of the Gleaner family, they got the picture. Right? And that was huge, because Tessa just walked down the red carpet, as it were, and passed everybody else, all the other media, CNN, E! News, Daily, this, that, CBS, and just came right down, and then I had on my Jamaican scarf, so they were calling me Mr. Jamaica. The other reporters. Man, that was fun.
Yes, it was. That's the start of the, and I believe that you have a better understanding of diaspora more than anybody else in Jamaica, actually, understanding of the relationship that the diaspora has with Jamaica and what it is. How do you see diaspora movement impacting Jamaica? You've seen some things already, but what do you see coming in the future? Even post-pandemic?
Well, if we play our cards right, if we stay away from petty politics and just petty matters, then we should be sitting pretty, because people are plugged in. People are turned on by the work that they have seen, that they have been involved in. It gives them a great feeling. Even the opportunities I have to interview people who are members of the diaspora, and you hear the energy, and it's infectious. You feel it. So there is no diaspora. The word diaspora. I remember when I started using the word on radio with a level of, with a level of regularity. It wasn't so before. It wasn't.
No.
Yes, the movement started in 2000. Well, technically, 2004 would have been the most recent iteration, so to speak. But the before 2004, it was more organic than anything else. But the attempt to structure it was 2004, and that sparked a lot of what we're seeing now. So, but back then, to say diaspora, nobody said that. Who said that?
Who said
I
that?
mean, apart from in a forum, the forum in 2004.
Foreigner.
About foreigner, yes, that kind of thing. So that people understand, because I remember this fellow. I was at broadcasting at National Arena. It was then JEA Expo in the arena, and this man, I saw him through the corner of my eye, as if he was trying to get my attention. And then eventually, when he felt that I had completed my conversation with whoever I was talking with, he said, Mr. Malcom, how you doing, man? Yeah, man. Tell me something. Me always hear you say, man, use a word on radio. Diaspora. Diaspora. What is that? So I said, no, man, that refers to Jamaicans abroad. Wherever Jamaicans are, that is the diaspora. It's our people. So it's Jamaicans are foreign. Yes, man, that's what it means. And I over time I had to be, repeating that bit to get people to understand that that's what we mean.
Yes.
But I think we have put in place some key elements, some key components, and we have some very committed people like you, Leo Gilling, very committed people across the diaspora and right here in Jamaica who have long bought into and can be easily stirred into action or spurred into action when the time comes. So we now need to harness it and allow for a greater level of cohesion, because that is important. A greater level of cohesion, just working together, just knowing that we're doing this for Jamaica. That's just all we need to know, that we're doing this for Jamaica.
Yes. And there's a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and people loving what I see these days is a lot more persons are involved, in using the word diaspora, in making it, affecting it, making things happen.
Yes, people delivering speeches now. Our Governor General doesn't deliver a speech anymore without greeting the diaspora or Prime Minister or leader of the opposition. Right. It's now a part of it. You must acknowledge the Jamaican diaspora.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, we have achieved a whole lot in that regard. To get to this point, we have to ensure now that we don't fall behind. That we don't drop the ball. That we just keep moving forward. Better, building back better is the expression these days. Building back stronger, etc. By the way, how long is this program, Mr.
I know. I have one more question, and then we can wrap it up. Oh my God! You're an educator, whether you want to acknowledge or not. We are having some challenges in Jamaica with our education system, and tell me what is it that we should do? Should we go back face to face in this time? I mean, we are losing a lot of students in terms of them not going to school. They don't know where they are sometimes. The government has a number playing around. 33% of the students are not being cared for in terms of school. What do we do now?
Yeah, we have an emergency on hand, and we must treat it like an emergency. it is an emergency, or children are suffering learning loss, or the teaching and learning experience in more ways than one has been upended. So what do? We have to, first of all, find the children. Let us make sure we know where each and every one of them is. That's number one. No one must be left out. No one must be left behind. We have to find them, and we need the social workers to be out there with the guidance counselors and the representatives from the schools in the various communities. We already have a map. I think Dr. Paris Leo of the Mona Geoinformatics Institute has done a remarkable job, he and his team. So in mapping where the schools are, what's the distance from between home and school on average, and so on. And so that data is available, because my thing always is that we must take a scientific, meticulous, and design-oriented approach to solving whatever problems we have. But always, I'm always for stopping the bleeding now. The bleeding is happening now in terms of the learning loss, in terms of the children falling into the wrong company because they're pretty much at home the whole time. We have to cauterize that. We have to stop that bleeding. That's my thing. Let's stop that bleeding. And it doesn't mean that that's the only thing we're going to be concentrating on. But while we are strategizing, while we are following the science as far as COVID-19 is concerned, and recognizing too that there is limited, and it's sad that we have lost a few children. That's sad. For the most part, the youth population has been rather resilient in how they've been able to find their way in this space. There are students who are doing exceptionally well. I had the pleasure of preparing a video presentation for a Calabar Old Boys Association Atlanta chapter function on Saturday the 30th of October. And one of the scholarship recipients, thanks to COBA Atlanta, he just got his results. We're talking 11 distinctions at CSEC and 1 distinction at CAPE. Now, he's not at CAPE level yet. He hasn't started CAPE yet. So this is before CAPE. And what is the subject that he has passed with a number 1, with a pure math?
Oh my God, pure math.
Not just mathematics, pure mathematics. So that's 12 distinctions.
Oh,
and he has been on the honor roll from first form until now that he's in 5th going on to 6th form. And he and the other young man I spoke with, they spoke of the importance of the support that they get from the Atlanta chapter of the Calabar Old Boys Association. So once they do well and maintain a certain grade point average, you get another scholarship, and it keeps going. That again is just a reminder of the diaspora at work. That's diaspora at work.
Amen. Yeah. It's actually 10:20 or 10 something, 10:23 now, Dervan. I think we've gone like 20 minutes over, 23 minutes over. Okay. I wish I could go on forever, but it's just this engaging. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Dervan, and I'm sure we're going to do this again sometime in the future.
Well, okay. Looking forward to that.
Thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again. Thanks, Dervan. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, you too.